now welcome Pedro Carneiro, who joins us from economics.
A lot of economists spend a lot of time, and sociologists, documenting racial disparities in a bunch of outcomes, say employment, wages, health, crime, education, test scores, you name it. And then after you document it, you try to explain the sources. So here, I'll show you some data for the U.S. And looking at labor market wages as an example. Okay. The type of work we do is kind of an old paper. This is going to be relevant for the U.S. and for the developed world today, not 50 years ago, not 100 years ago, not 100 years ago. So it's recent data, national representative data of adults and children. So these are racial wage gaps measured in 1998. Say let's focus on black versus white males, M. The blue bars are the percentage difference between wages in blacks and whites. They're very big, 33%. So whites make 33% more than blacks. Now, what are the red? So the same happens for Hispanic or white gaps, or this happens for females. Now, what are the red bars? The red bars are what happens to these gaps once we adjust for a measure of skill. In this case, we just took a test score, a measure of achievement test score. It's basically an army test, but it's supposed to measure language, some skills in math, etc. Okay. So basically, what happens when we compare blacks and whites with the same levels of test scores? So measured at age 17, 18, just before they enter the labor market. So the gaps go to about 5-6%. So then there are very big gaps in wages, but if you compare blacks and whites with the same level of skills, the gaps are very small. So then we try to understand, okay, maybe today discrimination is not playing such a big role, or at least it's playing a smaller role than these gaps in skills. So where do they come from? All right, so these are the same test. Here we have a distribution of test scores. Again, this is Army test. It looks at math, language, a bunch of other things that you're supposed to learn during your childhood and adolescence. So here we have the distribution of test scores for whites, and here we have blacks and Hispanics, and the white distribution is completely different from the black and Hispanic distribution. Much more to go, much more to the right. And that's the reason why they are 30% higher in the labor market. Okay, so now, one interesting thing is that the racial gaps in test scores emerge very early, so much earlier than the ones. So the tests I was showing you before, these are measured, let's say, at 14 to 19. Okay, but if you go much before that, so if you go that age, say 5 to 14, here we have average scores in math. So again, a test given to a national representative sample of American children. We have white, then we have black, black here and Hispanics here. And these are percentile in the distribution. So even at age 5, there's very big gap in attainment in math, and that's kind of well known in many countries. But so these gaps that we see at age 14, that explain a lot of these racial disparities in wages. They come back to age 5. Even at age 2, if we ask babies, so we can do this with a bunch of tests. But for example, if we ask about body parts, and point towards your nose, your eyes, etc., you see big gaps in performance of babies at age 1, 2, or 3, okay, across whites and blacks. Now here again is average score in body parts assessment between whites and then blacks and Hispanics down here. Again, so we see these differences go back a long way. Okay. All right, so if you look also at say behavioral problems, so it's not only let's say cognitive skills problems. We look also at behavioral problems. This is as reported by parents. So there's some difficulties with that, but in any case, look at behavioral problems gaps between blacks and whites and Hispanics. Again, they're quite big and at very early ages. So now big score is there because pure antisocial is not very good for you. So now blacks are more antisocial, are reported to be more antisocial by their parents than whites. But these are kind of self-reported, but they're the best measures we have right now. Okay, so and again, these gaps go back to age 4 or 5, or at least 6, 7. Now, okay, so there's these big gaps in test scores, and then maybe behavioral problems that show up very early ages. So why is this going on? Now, let's let's look at income differences. Okay, so perhaps we're not positive. These children of different races are being exposed to very different family environments. And that's certainly true. These are income distribution across races. Again, we have whites, blacks, and Hispanics. The distribution of income for whites is far more to the right, so they are much richer. So white children grew up in much richer families than black children or Hispanic children. Perhaps that's why they developed so differently. So if you look a little bit further, again, this is just one example. If you look at parental investment, so we call this parental investment. Maybe you don't like the word, but forget about it. So this is just one example. Is how often the mother visits the child at age 2. Again, by age and gender. Okay, so let's just focus on males because the picture from females is the same. We have Hispanics, blacks, and whites. So let's say focus only on blacks versus whites. So you can read, several times a year, several times a month, about 3 times a week, every day. So just as an example, let's focus on what proportion of parents read to the kids every day. So if you're white, about 45% of parents of male children who are white at age 2, they read to them every day. If you look at blacks, it's only 16.6%. So they're poorer, they read less to their children, and so, and then going on, if you look at expectations, so what is the mother's expected education level for the child at age 6? Why is this important? Because perhaps if a parent has high expectations, then another way to say this is that the returns to their investment, so the returns to spending time and money in their kids will be high. Okay, so they have low expectations for their children, the returns may be low, and so they'll spend less money and then less time with their kids. Okay, so here is expected school attainment for blacks and white kids, so expected from the point of view of parents. So we have dropping out of high school, graduating from high school, and having some college or having completed a college degree. So it is not the best graph, but so nobody expects their kids to drop out of high school, which is unrealistic because many people do. But in any case, let's just focus on getting a high school degree or less. Okay, so say about 26% of Hispanic mothers expect their kids to get high school degree or less. 16% of the black mothers expect their kids to get high school degree or less, and then only 8% of white mothers expect their kids to get a high school degree or less. So whites also have higher expectations for their kids than blacks, and then maybe that influences their investment behavior. So not only they are wealthier, but they have higher expectations. Okay, so what am I really saying? So again, this is I know this is a very simplistic picture, but this is it. For 10 minutes, this is it. So we have big gaps in wages, big disparity in wages. We also have big disparity in employment, welfare use, crime, all kinds of risky behaviors, health, you name it. So today I focus on wages. Now, if you focus on wages, these disparities in wages that we observe today in the 21st century in the labor market, they're mainly explained by disparities in skills across racial groups. Okay? Not as much by maybe discrimination. Maybe discrimination plays a role before. Okay, but once they get to the labor market, the levels of skills are completely different. Okay, and these disparities in skills go back a long way. Okay? They don't show up at 14, they don't show up at 17, they show up at 5. They show up for some tests at 2. Okay? Now, we also see the very big gaps in family environments by race. The white family is much richer. They invest more in their kids, they have higher expectations for their kids. So perhaps we also know that there are very big gaps, racial gaps in the quality of the schools that white and black children are going to. And so maybe that's explaining part of the skill gap that we observe when they enter the labor market. So if we want to address these racial disparities in labor market outcomes, and maybe also in crime, maybe health, and go on and on, you have to address racial disparities starting very early in the life cycle, starting in the infancy of the individual. So intervention in the adult years may be a little bit too late.